Cea Cohen Elliott is a professional motivational speaker, wellness, and fitness coach. Her humor-filled presentations have been experienced by thousands all over the country, and her sense of humor and love of life are contagious. We encourage each person watching this webinar to listen with your heart and embrace your true spirit. Cea, welcome and thank you for being here with us tonight.
Thanks, Kimberly. Hi, everybody. Welcome. I'm Cea. As Kimberly said, I got to tell you, I move around a lot and I talk with my hands, so this is really an undertaking for me to sit and fold my hands in front. So I greet every single one of you from Beaver Creek, and a shout out to those of you in Washington Courthouse who I was supposed to speak for, and I know we're going to get together soon, guys. So let me just say, everybody, when everybody says, oh, you know, la, 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 I want you to know it's okay if you say, I'm not into this la, 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 la thing. I'm sad, I'm depressed, I'm concerned. So welcome to the universe, because we all are up, down, maybe, what if. I just spoke to a friend of mine today in Alabama, and her 2-year-old is in a child care center, and they opened Monday. The center is church owned. They have a caretaker there at the front at a desk with a mask and gloves. Every child has his temperature taken. Every employee has a mask and gloves, and the parents drop the kids off. No one is allowed in the building except the people who work there. The snacks have to come from home. The parents have to let them know when they're going to be there and when they're going to be picked up. So things are moving. But again, hang on to that little piece that you have for a while of, no, I'm not okay, because I know you're not ready to move through it yet. So we're going to talk about why it's okay to be stuck and to be scared and worried. We're going to talk about what we can do to move through it. And then we're going to talk about looking at this in a different way. Today is a very special day because this is my first webinar ever. And I told my husband this needs to be in my memorial service, hopefully not soon, but it needs to be. She did a webinar. And it's a very special day because this is my mother's birthday, May the 5th. And had my mother lived, she died when she was 38. Had she lived, she'd be 94. So when Chris asked me May the 5th, I just said, oh, besides Cinco de Mayo, how special this is. Thank you for sharing my mother's birthday with me. And as I was thinking and praying about what I was going to say to everybody today, my mom in 1948 had me. She was a divorced Italian Catholic female. You didn't do that in 48. So let's think about, as we worry, what are the things that we've had to overcome that we've just sort of forgotten about? So I'm going to use my mom as an example. 1948, 2 children, 2 and newly born. She is considered a puttana in the Italian community. Use your imagination what that meant. And my mother had to forge ahead with 2 children. We lived with my grandma, Ercilia Tucci Bonaventura, and I was raised by my aunts and uncles. What my mother had to do, she ended up getting remarried to my dad, John Hayden, a Lebanese man, who came back from World War II as a bully and an alcoholic, not that loving husband that she hoped that she would have finally. So I look at what my mom went through. What did your parents go through? What did they have to worry about? Look at my grandparents. They came over in the 1900s. They had the Depression. They had the Spanish flu. My grandparents came from Italy on a boat. My grandma was so worried with her 3 little boys. They heard that the United States was this Wild West, and she had a loaded gun inside her chest. So what have you had to do personally? Think about it. Just spend a few seconds. Go back, go back, go back. What did we, over 2,800 people, Kimberly said. Think about it, folks. What things did you have to worry about and go through to be where you are today? Being bullied in high school, you weren't a great jock, you didn't make the cheerleading squad, You got pregnant at an early age and were afraid how you're going to keep the baby. Your parents split up. Just take a few seconds. Just put your hands down, whatever you're doing, because I know that we all multitask. Put your hands down in your lap for a second. What did you have to worry about, and what did you achieve? Starting from however far back you want to go. Was it junior high, high school, college, later, one divorce, two divorces? It doesn't matter, because I always look at them as journeys and lessons. First time I was diagnosed with cancer, I thought I was a dead woman. Shortly after that, I was diagnosed with MS. Oh my gosh, how is I going to live? How is I going to live? I had to worry. That's how I was raised. You need to worry every single day when you wake up. Worry. And if you're having a good day, stop, because something bad's going to happen, right? That's how I was raised. So when I was diagnosed with MS after cancer, I was like, oh my gosh, no wonder I don't sleep. I was telling Kimberly and Pam and Chris, I don't sleep. So if anybody really wants like a 2 a.m. a webinar, I've already volunteered, because I don't sleep from like 2 to 5, 2 to 6. So this worry thing fills up the prefrontal part of the lobe of our brain. And our brain is like the RAM in the computers. And once the RAM is overloaded, there's no space. And so when we fill this prefrontal lobe of our brain with worry, there's no space for anything else. What if we said temporarily, I'm going to give up my worry? Because what the worry is about, in my opinion, oh, and please, let me tell you, I'm not an expert in anything. I'm just old and approaching the happy hunting ground stage. And so my experience comes from life and the chapters in my book of life and my journeys. So for me, since my mom died at 38 and my siblings were 4, 6, 8, and 10, and I was 16 and my sister was 18, my dad dropped dead 6 years later, my dad. And so I'm in my early 20s. Now I have these teenagers, and if I don't volunteer to raise them, they're going to go off, and one aunt is going to take this kid and one aunt's going to take that kid. And I said, no, no, no. So I became their legal guardian. I worried. I was a Catholic school Montessori teacher. I taught 2.5 to 6-year-olds. For any of you who teach in Catholic schools, you know how much money we do not make. So I had to get another job. And because I made $3, get this guys, $3.98 too much, I couldn't get any kind of benefits. I would get Social Security checks, and I had to hire a Social Security lawyer because of these underage kids. I was only allowed to spend it on food, and we weren't making it. We weren't making it on those checks. So I took another job. I was a hostess at the Claremont in Columbus. I grew up in Columbus. For all of those of you, I saw Gahanna, Arlington, Westerville. Hey, I grew up there. So I worried constantly how I was going to pay my bills. My brother was playing football at Audubon. On one hand, I was cutting the football players' hair and then trying to figure out what we were going to eat that I could fix dinner for everybody. Oh, and of course, they all went to 3 different schools. Hey, I made it, didn't I? Didn't I? I made it. That was in the 70s. So just relax for a minute. Get that worry out of your head for a minute. I want you to replace it with this. A breath. A breath. I don't know if you can see my necklace. Well, probably not. So I'm wearing a necklace. You know what it says? Breathe. Breathe. You know, people laugh when they see me wear this, and they're like, you have to wear that to remind yourself. I said, of course. Because what do we do when we worry? We're like this. What if? What if? What if? What if? What if? And that what if is our lack of control. We get really scared if we don't have control, don't we? And I know you all are worrying about, what if I don't have a job? What if I can't put food on the table? What if my childcare center doesn't open? And what if, and what if, and what if? And guess what? all of those what ifs don't change anything. So that's the piece about worry. We sort of go there. I liken it to a tar pit. You know, you get stuck in a tar pit and no matter what you do, you can't get out. Like, okay, I'm going to die here in this tar pit. Well, the good news is if you worry about things that you cannot control, why are you worried? And if you worry about things that you can control, you don't have to worry. That was from Wayne Dyer. And you know, I kept hearing him say that and hearing him say that, and I finally got it. See, because when I was diagnosed with MS, I was so worried. It was like, oh my gosh. And I used to be this kind of person. You're going to laugh. I'd say my prayers and I'd say, hey, listen, God, you really do need to answer my prayers. Like, I'm desperate. And I'm going to give you about an hour to an hour and a half. And if you don't answer my prayers, I'm going to go shopping at Schottenstein's when they were in Columbus. Funny, me telling God what he should be doing. There's a wonderful, and I'm not preaching, and if you don't believe, that's fine, but I'm just telling you what worked for me. There's a wonderful psalm that says, be still and listen, for I am here. Whether that can be your God or a higher power or something that helps you to get out of this worry thing. So for the next however long that we're on this until 8:30, I'm going to give you permission, not that you have to stop. I'm going to give you permission to stop worrying for right now. We don't know what the governor's going to say. We don't know what's going to happen. Hey, can I tell you guys something? Stop listening to so much news. I can only do small snippets. You know what I'm finding since I don't sleep? I'll wake up and I'll say, and I'll be in my head, it's like this reel, you know, that big reel, and or people my age, the record that keeps playing, it's stuck, it's stuck, it's stuck. What if? What if? What if the cases go up? So personally, I'm a speaker. I teach yoga. I teach Pilates. I do one-on-ones. My business is tanked. I was telling the folks before, my June gig just officially canceled. I have 2 more left in August, maybes. And if they don't pan out, nothing. I went from speaking 30 to 40 times a year to nothing. I can't teach yoga, you know, right now. And even if I could be allowed soon, we're going to do mask and we've got to do our 6 feet distance. I don't know where we're going to do that because my space is limited. So what I have to do is allow myself to stop and breathe and to hear myself say, this too shall pass. It always does. You know, we've had all these incidences in our lives and in our history, the Civil War, the flu, the pandemics, more wars, 9/11. I mean, seriously, guys, after 9/11, we all were afraid we were going to die. People were scared just like they are now. Oh, I was watching something about George Bush last night on Channel 16, and they said that people were being interviewed and they said they were afraid the cars are going to blow up wherever they went. We made it, didn't we? This is going to pass. So instead of looking at it as, I want to go back to normal, what's normal? Seriously, nothing is permanent. Nothing is permanent except death. Nothing is permanent. I remember after I got divorced, oh, I was a mess. And I would cry and I was whiny, and it was around the holiday time, and I'd say, oh, I just want everything to be normal. Well, if everything was normal, I would have never gotten divorced. So of course it was going to be different. And Pam has had a really good, Pam Farino, who is so wonderful. She's with you guys, AEYC. And Pam has said, this is a brave new world. And she's right. See, every single one of us, because we're on this webinar and because you do what you do and I do what I do, I've been an educator for over 40 years, almost 50 now, because I love kids. All of us have guts. We do. We all have guts. Figuratively and literally, we have guts. Because if we didn't, we wouldn't be alive and we wouldn't be where we are. So we need to take this sense of we have guts and we're courageous. And we need to take baby steps. Years ago, I went to Al-Anon. My family member was addicted to drugs, and he was gone to treatment for 4 months. I was a wreck. I literally was drugged to Al-Anon, and I made every excuse in the book. I can't go, my kids are little, I can't find a sitter, and I literally was drugged to Al-Anon. And I got there, and I was so angry. How dare he do this to me, you know, Miss Victim. And if he loved me, blah, blah, blah. And I started spouting all this stuff out at Al-Anon, and they were smiling, and I was like, these people are really weird. They're all smiling. They should not, because I'm miserable, and I wanted them to be miserable like I was miserable. And they said, we're not here to talk about your husband, Cea. We're here to talk about you. What are you doing for yourself? They really, really got on my last nerve. What do you mean, what am I doing for myself? I have a 4-year-old and a 6-year-old. My spouse is gone for 4 months in treatment, and I have MS and cancer. What are you talking about what I do for myself? And after the 6th visit, and I showed up, hi Cea. When they said, what do you do for yourself? I was so irritated. I said, you know what I do for myself? I go to Kroger's once a week, and I cry because I can't decide if I want Rice Krispies or Lucky Charms. And that's when I figured out I wasn't handling this well. I wasn't doing a very good job. And you know what, folks? I didn't have the foggiest clue how to take care of myself. I knew how to take care of kids because I did that with my siblings. I knew how to work really hard. I always had 2 to 3 jobs. I can dig ditches. I can clean windows. I clean toilets. I worked in a Dairy Queen for 50 cents an hour in high school. I did 8 to 12-hour shifts with no air conditioning. I can do all that. Don't I sound like your grandmother and great-grandmother? I walked all the way home, da-da-da-da. So I didn't know how to take care of myself. So part of this worry, we're going to replace it with this thing called, for the next time, let me see what time, because I want to make sure we have enough time to talk about this. What are you doing to take care of yourself? You know, it's a riot when this whole pandemic started and everything was closed. I signed up for 2 free classes, one from Yale and one from the Berkeley, free, because I couldn't wait to tell people, oh yeah, I took this class at Yale. I took 1 class from each one of those. It was free. It was free. Do you think that I took any more of those? No, no. I was going to do my yoga every day. I was going to become best friends with John Kabat-Zinn, a person who I admire in his mindfulness training. I was going to make sure I exercised every day. I was going to try my luck at drawing for about the 9th time. So I've done yoga sporadically. I did not take any more of my free classes. I haven't even taken my colored pencils out. And for the first hour or 2, I'm like, Cea, you are such a loser. You had this gift this time and you chose to blow it. Because that's what I do. I'm my worst critic. So I looked at that and I said, there I go again. What I can tell you is this. The birds start singing about 5 a.m. The insects come out about 5:25. Everybody has their sense of order. I spend a lot more time outside just looking. I stupidly planted some of my annuals, and of course you all know here in Ohio we're going to have frost warnings, so I covered them up last night and I couldn't sleep because I was worried they were too cold. So now everybody's in my garage staying warm. But what I've loved is being outside. I've talked about grounding and earthing a lot, being connected to the earth. But I've just loved walking barefoot in my backyard. I love going out at 1 a.m. or 2 a.m. and looking at my trees and saying, thank you for being here. You know, the Japanese have this thing now, they're actually charging people. It's called forest bathing. And you go out into the forest and you can't have any phones or any electronics and you can't talk. And you just stand there and you put your hand on a trunk. So we have a new dog. We have rescue dogs, of course. You know, why would they be normal dogs? They're rescue dogs. And our latest is Enzo. He's a border collie with an autoimmune disease, pemphigus. That means he has no fur on his nose. And he and I walk and walk and walk. And I'll just go up to a tree and I'll just say, "You're so beautiful. Thank you." Or I'll sit outside in one of my chairs and I'll look at the stars. And I'll try to figure out what constellations they're in. Or I'll look at the moon and say, "Ah, la luna è bella." When we had all this stuff to do before, we never had time, guys. I've met people in my neighborhood. I've lived here for 14 years, and I'll be walking with Enzo, and I'll say, "Hi, I'm Cea. Are you new?" "No, I've lived here for 16 years. "No, I've lived here for 12 years. Parents are playing with their kids. Kids are outside. I've never seen so many people outside. So I'm thrilled that even though I didn't draw and even though I didn't take my Ivy League classes, my piece is nature. My piece is just sitting and looking at these flowers and looking at these bugs and these birds. One of the things that I love doing with smaller kids is you take them out on a nature walk and you have them find things like an acorn or a stick. Find something that you love, and then we're going to sit around in a circle and talk about why do you love it. Oh, that smooth feeling of that stick. Oh, put the acorn next to your ear. Just simple things. I was thinking the other day, growing up in the 60s, the 50s, and the 60s, we didn't have stuff. We were poor. We were so poor. But we had tomatoes that smell delicious when they're cooked, garlic that now I inhale it every day because we know that garlic has antimicrobial benefits, and I've been eating more of it. Don't have a lot of people around me because of the smell, but hey, good for me. Bring all this stuff back. I'm trying to make more bread. It's the stuff that we have forgotten about. Stuff. That's the other thing, stuff. I have so much stuff. Our garage sale was canceled. So when everything opens up, I'm going to be donating stuff. I found that I don't need this stuff. I really don't. So I want you to look at the word fear, F-E-A-R. Let's replace it with here. So instead of fear, what are you hearing? Oh my gosh, I'm hearing so much about what is important and what is not. Let me give you another example. My best friend of 40 plus years, who lives in Columbus, had a horrible tragedy a year ago. And she called me 3 days ago and she said, "Cea, I've had 2 really bad days. I can't stop crying." And so all we did was, I said, "Let's talk about what you're feeling." And so this is what I did. And it's a Buddhist piece. I asked her, "Close your eyes, and where is this sadness? Where do you feel it in your body?" And she said, "My stomach." I said, "What color is it?" And she said, "Black." Okay, just sit there for a minute. And I said, "When you're ready, we'll move on." And she said, "Okay." And I said, "Now, I want you to think about how much love you had for your son. And I want you to close your eyes, and where do you feel that love?" And she said, "In my face, in my head, in my eyes, in my chest, I can breathe." And I said, "What color is that?" And she said, "It's white, it's beautiful." So I said, "Then just stay there. Now, compare the two. The lump in your stomach, the darkness, the white, the joyfulness, the love. You can stay in either one how long you want to stay. But it's your choice. Pick the one that you want to go to, and when you're ready, you'll go to wherever you need to be." And that's what I want to say to all of you. When you're ready to move through this, you will. You are where you need to be. If you're crying, then go ahead and cry. We all have to have our peace. Believe me, a couple of times I've had some good cries, like, "Oh my gosh." And then something wonderful will happen because I've been having my windows open and I can hear those birds. It's such a beautiful sound. I heard "What a Wonderful World" the other day and sobbed. I haven't seen my granddaughters since the second week of March. They live in Grandview. My son's been FaceTiming. My son is so funny. He's like, "Mom, I have a 2-year-old and a 14-month-old. We're not sleeping. We can't go outside." And I go, "Oh, Ryan, Do you think you're the only parent in the whole universe who's feeling like that right now? And Reagan's going to be 2 next month, and she's got so much energy. And I laughed, and I said, like, you didn't? He was a headbanger, right? He banged so hard that one morning, he woke up, he had blood trailing down. My mother's crazy sister said, call the rabbi, call the minister. You need an exorcism. He's banging his head. What are his 2 little girls doing? They bang their heads like crazy. And so, you know, when we say we're all in this together, we are. But as Pam has said, and I've heard different news outlets say the same thing, but we're in all different boats. Don't tell me, you know, you and your yacht knows what I'm going through right now. You know, when I was a single parent, after I got divorced, I did grant work in schools. That stops in May. So June, July, and August, I had no clue how I was going to make money. I was teaching 10 aerobic classes a week. My body couldn't take any more than 10, and I was stupid. I didn't know that I was overdoing it. I got sick. Who goes to a wellness conference of 4,000 people and gets pneumonia? Me. And so I've been where you are. I've been where, what am I going to do? So anyways, we need to think about asking for help. And I want you all to know, I know you know this already, but Kimberly and Pam and Chris at AEYC, they're there for you. Why do you think we're doing these? Because they worry about you, they care about you, they love you. We are. And this is a wonderful world. So on that note, Pam, can you show our guest what makes me laugh? I sent this to Pam today, and this is just really short, and I know this is cheesy, but I want you to see this wonderful little girl by the name of Cea Cohen, my granddaughter. I want you to see this piece. So can we do this, Pam? Thank you. Well, we'll see if it comes on.
I'm working on it. For some reason, I'm getting, it might be the number, but just keep talking and it may come on you, okay?
Yeah, and just come through, Pam, when you find it. Okay.
All right, thank you.
Okay.
Cea,
Yes.
I could ask you a question or a comment while we're waiting for Pam.
Well, sure, absolutely.
One comment that I just absolutely loved was someone said, "You sound like my mother listening to you." And I know it's funny, but I felt that really touched me, because I'm like, that is so comforting to all of us. You know, some of us don't have our mothers anymore,
Right.
And to have someone give us that comfort.
Oh, thanks, Kimberly.
I really like that. And then someone also made a comment, which I'd never heard it this way before, but they took the word fear and the first letters in it and said, "It's false evidence appearing real."
Oh, I like that.
I do too.
Oh, I like that. I like that. Go ahead.
No, you comment, please.
No, I just feel like when we can look at that word or those feelings and then move it up like a cloud, which is what that wonderful person said when what she sees with the word fear. I just saw like a cloud just being lifted.
Yes.
Up like this.
Kim, would you mind typing that in the chat box? Because somebody asked for it to be repeated again.
I will. And then just on a more kind of fun, humorous note, someone wanted to know if you worked at St. Joseph's Montessori's at one time.
Yes, I was.
Okay.
I was at St. Joseph Montessori, and my co-teacher was Rosemary Castle, who has been my best friend ever since then. And we co-taught together at St. Joseph, and we did the summer program.
Oh, that's great.
Yes.
I think I'm ready to try to share again. Well, hopefully technology will work.
Okay, let's try it.
Do you like yogurt? No, you don't like it at all? I didn't think so. Make sure you get it all.
No.
yogurt, my favorite.
Oh,
I
that's
asked
great.
my son how he cleaned her up after that. Like, did you have to hose her down? And so she is one of these wonderful children that we all have the privilege of being with. She lights up the world. I've never seen such a happy baby. And her little sister, who's going to be 1 in July, is the same way. She wakes up and she's just got one big smile on her face. I sent that to Chobani and I said, I want to make you all smile. And they sent her a month's supply of blueberry yogurt. Wasn't that fun? So anyways, I want you to think about, this is an opportunity. And I don't want you to think about, well, you got to pass or fail, because there were many times that I had lessons and I think I failed them, and then I really beat myself up even more. The worst thing that we can do is this, that we can put ourselves in a box and put the lid on, because that's how we're feeling, and then you can't breathe, and then you're having panic attacks. We're the ones that put ourselves in that box. Nobody else does. You know, the pandemic isn't, the governor isn't. We put ourselves in the box. I never knew how to ask for help. I thought if I asked you for help, you would think I was a weak person, because I had to be strong. I had to take care of my siblings. I had to move on. I had to. I had to beat cancer. I had to beat MS. So I learned through Al-Anon and through wonderful people. You know, I've said this before for those of you who've heard me. Rabbi Kushner came to Dayton many, many years ago. He's the author of When Bad Things Happen to Good People. And Rabbi Kushner used to say all the time when something horrible happened, it's God's will, it's God's will, it's God's will, until his 11-year-old son was diagnosed with progeria. And progeria is a disease that actually ages children to the point of, by the time his son died, he was the same age as a 95-year-old man. So Rabbi Kushner said he could no longer say that that was God's will, because a loving God doesn't do that. Oh, I'm going to take Rabbi Kushner's son and do that. Or I'm going to have so-and-so going to do that. I'm going to make sure that Cea's mom dies at 38. God doesn't do that. But what, and again, I'm not preaching, okay? But what Rabbi Kushner said is he thinks that God sends people in our lives to help us instead. You guys have AEYC. You have ministers, priests, rabbis. You have relatives. You have friends. We're, you know, again, I hate to be so redundant, but when I say that phrase, we're all in this together, I said that before, meaning when we come to this earth, we're all put here to make a difference. We're put here to make a difference. And what you all do, what I do, because I'm still working with kids as a subcontractor, we have these little miracles in front of us. We get to change the life of a child in some way. Oh my gosh, I cry when I see Reagan. The last time I saw her, I just said that I was looking at her and I said, oh, wow. And she immediately mimicked me and she goes, oh, wow. I mean, she says, Dada, Mama, I'm Nana. Oh, wow. I started to laugh. How cool is that? How cool is it that even though you're having a busy day and you have a child that's picking their nose and runny nose and everything, you're like, should I be here? Yeah, the answer is yes. How touching. I've seen such nice things, kindness from so many people. And then there's some people that, I mean, like, there's some people I have to really do a mental check. Like, did they just do that? Did they just say that? So I really have to work on myself. The problem is, as we approach the happy hunting ground, our frontal lobe just gets really screwed up. And so we say things that we probably shouldn't, but hey, what can I say? That's just, you know, the beauty of whatever. So here's one thing I want to show you. It's so fun. And I enjoyed doing it. So look at my hand. And this is called the climbing 5 fingers. And kids love this, but I want you to do this because you're going to feel better. So you start with your pinky finger. And the climbing 5 fingers is you take your thumb and your 3rd finger, or your thumb and 1st finger or 2nd finger, and you inhale and you go up, and you exhale and you go down. And you inhale and go up, and you exhale and go down. And you inhale and you exhale, and you come to your thumb and you exhale, and you do this, and then you do the next hand. All you're doing is breathing, of course. all you're doing is replacing that sense of what if with, I'm just going to take some time to breathe. I'm just going to take some time to breathe. How about going outside tonight or tomorrow, or go out, put a blanket on, and stand in the grass with your bare feet or the concrete? So much good information on grounding and feeling the earth below our feet. How about when we were little, we played outside all the time. We played in mud. This is so funny. Since we were all Catholic and we had 10,000 kids, we would go to Southern Ohio, to New Straitsville, Ohio, for all of those of you down in Nelsonville and Logan and Athens, and we'd go to Burr Oak. We'd have picnics, and we'd leave the chicken out all day with no igloo cooler and none of the stuff that we have now. Not one of us died from that chicken, and none of us puked. So it was just fun. My grandma, my step-grandma, was Lebanese, and so she had chickens, and so she, would have us get the eggs, and we had an outhouse, and, they would say, be careful, the snakes are copperheads, if they bite, you'll die. But life was simple, and what this whole thing has done, it's helped to simplify. What the heck is going on? I'm writing more things. I'm journaling again. Book reading, poetry reading. What a wonderful life. If we just say, for this time period that we've been together, maybe you haven't worried one bit, and maybe you don't agree with anything I say, and that's really okay. Or maybe I made you feel uncomfortable, and I hope so, because I want you to think outside of the box, since we tell kids to think outside of the box all of the time. But when you start to feel that rise of what if, breathe through the climbing fingers. Or just say, okay, I'm going to feel it. I'm going to worry about it. But just know it won't change it. And I want you to know, since that's, I have been to the spa at least 3 to 4 times a week. Yeah, you know what that is? My bathroom with my tub. Anybody can do this. If you don't have Epsom salts, that is like the miracle, miracle, miracle. Epsom salts, it's magnesium sulfate, and you put it in the tub and it makes you feel so good. It helps with feeling crunchy and arthritis and whatever else. So I go up to my spa and I put my 2 to 3 cups of Epsom salts in the tub. And if I have my essential oils, I'll throw a couple, 3 or 4 drops in there. I'll play some nice music, or I'll read. And it's funny because my husband works for Sinclair Community College because he's a retired administrator, school administrator. And so he's in the upstairs office, and I'll say, okay, I'm going to the spa right now. All it cost me was a bag of Epsom salts. And so you take yourself to the spa. I tried this when my boys were little. I would try to take a bath and relax, but I always left the door open with the telephone in there in case publishers, showcase, whatever, who they are, were going to call me and tell me I won. But I never did anything to win. And I would leave the door open until this happened. One of my rescue dogs, it was storming and it was thundering and the door was half open, and she flew in and landed on my chest in the water because she's terrified of thunder. And so after that, I actually closed the door, and I figured if something was an emergency, my boys, who are always fighting, would contact me. So if you don't like taking a bath, do a foot bath. Epsom salts works in a foot bath. It's just taking the time out for yourself. My friend who I mentioned at the beginning of this, who lives in Alabama, she said that she knows people in Alabama who are driving an hour and a half to 2 hours to Georgia to get their nails done. I'm sorry. No, I'm not doing that. And the only reason I get my toes done is because I can't see that far from here to my toes. And when I put my glasses on, after my toes, after I put the polish on, it looks like paint by number. It's not a pretty sight. And I've cut myself so many times with those jumbo clippers because I can't see what I'm doing. So that's the only time I do that. My hair is so great. Oh, I wanted you to know this. So I got one of those $10 spray cans, for the roots. And I did this so I wouldn't blind myself. Well, I kept spraying the back of my hand because I couldn't figure out how not to get my color in my eyes and blind myself. So here's this. And so after doing that 3 or 4 times and never covering a root, and $10 for that, Tonight, for you guys, I took my $5.99 mascara and I colored each one of those strands so my gray wouldn't blind you. And this is when I know that life is good, when I can laugh again. So my sister went to CVS and she bought me one of those $9.99 little, or $19.99 little machines, and you take it around and it goes zzz, and it takes the fur off your face. Literally, come on, it's fur, it's hair, it's fur. And so you go like this, you go like this, you go like this, and you go like this. And as you age, you get them here, these black ones that are real long. There's nothing black on my whole head except the chin here. And you can't tweeze it because they're like linebackers. And so and then you open up and you get to see all the fur. I make myself giddy because look at that. Look at all that fur. So whatever it is that you need to do to remind yourself that we can still laugh. We can still laugh because I still have a roof over my head. I can still speak. I can still eat. I'm trying to grow vegetables. It said, expect a little shoot within 6 to 8 days. It's been 3.5 weeks. I have nothing coming up. I don't know why. I found 2 snakes already. And so I do a lot of Native American kind of things with what animals mean. And I looked in my Native American book about what seeing snakes mean. And it says, there's a transformation coming. Really? I needed to look at my book for that. But there's a transformation coming. So 2 snakes. And keep in mind, I used to be terrified of snakes. Remember, in our church, we always had the Blessed Mother with a snake wrapped around her feet, and it terrified me. So who knows? Who knows what all this means? What I can tell you is life is good. Life is good. Oh, and here's fun. This is funny. My husband, Dave, is sitting right over here, so he can hear everything I say. The last 3 years, he's been saying to me, honey, I think you would look so pretty letting your hair grow gray. I haven't had color on my hair since February. He doesn't say that anymore. He'll say things like, when I tried to color your gray in the back, it didn't take. Have you thought about maybe asking one of the neighbors? No. So isn't that funny? He's never mentioned how pretty I would be with gray hair now. So we can laugh about this. Oh, believe me, the first 2 weeks we looked at each other and I was thinking to myself, there are going to be so many divorces after this thing is over. And then I realized, no, there won't, because nobody has money. And so we started playing sequence, and now we laugh. And now we can laugh because we're playing a game, and you can say things that you wouldn't say because it would sound too caustic. So what I've learned about that, I love my Dave. We've been married for 27 years. Yeah, he has his little quirky things, and God knows I have so many. I would have divorced me by now. So I appreciate everything that he does for me. I appreciate that we've had this time together because he's worked his entire life, either as a principal, an assistant principal, a guidance counselor. We've had more time now in the last however many months than we've ever had in our marriage. So that's the good part. Somebody said yesterday they knew that things were bad. They were actually missing the people they didn't like. I haven't gotten to that point yet. So I just want you to know that slow down. Slow down. Take your time. Color. Do nothing. Who says that you can't sit and veg and watch Netflix in the middle of the afternoon? Who said that? The Netflix police or something? What I love is I don't have an agenda. All these people are saying you should be structured. Well, since I don't get that much sleep, if I don't go to bed until 5 or 6, I can't wake up at 8 because I've only had a couple hours of sleep. So I drink my coffee. I'll go throw the ball for Enzo out in the back. I'll try to do some things. Me and structure, we don't do real well. Versus you wonderful left brain people, structure helps you. And that's why we need you. And that's why you need me, because we have to balance. I was telling Pam and Chris and Kimberly yesterday, they're so good because they're the left brain people. I'm the person that says, I'm going to cut up one of my old skirts and make all kinds of streamers and go out and just in the backyard and just dance with streamers, just because I feel like it. We're listening, when we play sequence, we're listening to light classical music. I'm listening to music I never listened to before. So you don't have to be feeling great about this. You don't have to be worried that it's really concerning you, because it's concerning a lot of people. What I want you to think about is, what a wonderful life. What a wonderful opportunity. So let's say if your child care center doesn't open up, you have guts, you have determination, you're courageous. We all know that. Again, go back to what I asked you to do at the beginning. What are all the things that you've been able to get through to bring you to this point? Courage takes us every place. I just saw something that I want to read to you. Wouldn't it be nice if I could have memorized it? I tried. Life as you perceive it is a reflection of your perception and beliefs. Let me say that again. Life as you perceive it is a reflection of your perception and beliefs. Here's another one. With the new day comes new strength and new thoughts. That's Eleanor Roosevelt. Isn't that cool? With the new day comes new strength and new thoughts. Instead of saying, oh, I wish everything was normal, it will never be normal, because there is nothing, no such thing as normal. Only thing that is permanent is death. Change, it happens. The temperature, the sky, the news, your hormones, food. Who would have thought Wendy's was going to run out of hamburgers? And when I had neighbors say, oh, aren't you going to go buy meat and stock up your freezer? No, because we don't eat that much red meat anyways. And, you know, if I can get chicken periodically, I'm a happy camper. I've got some canned tuna. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. So it's okay to say, no, that's okay. I'm not going to do that. When we look at it as an opportunity to challenge us to be more creative, when we look at it as a brave new world, as Pam says, when we look at it as if my child care center doesn't open, okay, I need to I've recreated myself. I was a secondary English major from Otterbein. I was going to teach everybody how to diagram, and they were going to love me more than anything, and they were going to love English. That blew up in my face my first year teaching, because my kids that I was teaching hated school. I loved teaching Montessori. I became a guidance counselor. Then I decided to be a fitness person. And then I started speaking. I've recreated what I think I can do so many times, to the point where when I look at stuff that I've done, I have a folder that says, when I die, read this. It's for my boys. I've done things that I didn't think that I did, and I actually was pretty successful. Surprises me. I forgot that I did that. Can I tell you the day that I was diagnosed with cancer? I don't remember that. It was in the 70s sometime. Can I tell you the day I was diagnosed with MS? I don't remember that. I did learn this, that instead of saying every day, what if I become crippled? What if I'm in a wheelchair? What if? I learned that if I replace it with mindfulness and setting my intention of, whoa, I really feel good today. And then I'd hear that record saying, no, you don't, you liar, you feel horrible. No, I do. Set your intention. If something changes in your future for your child care, if you lose it, or if something changes with the hours or whatever, what is your intention? If your intention is, I'm going to create XYZ, then do it. If you've never done a dream board, create a dream board. Oh, they're so fun. They're so fun. And don't cut out pictures, rip them open. That's therapeutic. Set your intention. Before I teach any yoga class, we set our intention. How do you want to feel? Check in with yourself. How am I feeling today? Is this heavy? Why is this heavy? Oh, okay. You're going to do your 5-finger, you're going to do your climbing exercise with your fingers. You're going to spend more time outside. You're going to call people who you haven't talked to or email them. You're going to say, for XYZ, I'm not going to check my electronics. It's a wonderful world. And so I want to end with this. Let's pray that May is a month of healing, breakthrough, miracles, restoration, blessings, and abundance. Remember, abundance doesn't always mean money. Abundance means health. Abundance means being able to be kind and love. Abundance means saying thank you. I want to tell you all thank you for spending time with me. I'm so privileged and I'm so humbled. I know that my mom is enjoying her birthday with all of you. Her name was Cea Cohen Bonaventura Hayden. She smiled with her eyes. She left 6 children. And I know when she sees my children and their children, she's happy. So I guess it's time for questions. Yeah, maybe. Are we good?
It is. And I will, first I want to say to everyone who's on the call, it's 8:25, which is close to our ending time. So if you need to hop off because you have family commitments, that will not impact your credit. We will be sending out a survey after the call. We'll also, your credit will be again put into the registry within 30 days, so you don't need to contact us. But we do have some questions and answers and comments. So if you'd like to stay on and hear a little more from Cea, we encourage you to do so. I wished you could have read all the comments, Cea. One said, it's like listening to a friend, and I'm laughing so much. I can't remember when I laughed so much. Another comment says, we are soul sisters. I greet the moon with Bella Luna too. But then there's some questions, and some of them are, pretty deep. One person moved here from the Philippines, and she's really worried that she might never be able to travel back to see her family and friends, and she just doesn't know what to do with that worry when it seems very real and very possible. Do you have any thoughts?
I do. What's her name? Can we have a name?
There's thousands that are coming through, and I wish I caught her name.
So,
sorry.
I wish I had your name so I could address you personally. It touches my heart, what you said. We don't know what that answer will be. All I can tell you is if you can FaceTime, if you can write, if you can email, let them know what you're thinking, let them know what you're feeling. Take out pictures. I think that the sense of communication we can do across thousands of miles. I certainly wish I could give you an answer, but all I can say is feel their love and let them know your love for them, that you're thinking about them. I hope that helps a little bit.
I think that's really good advice. You touched on some of this, but this is kind of a combination of 2 or 3 questions throughout. Not unheard of for us as early childhood people. The whole idea of how do you take care of yourself and not feel guilty, combined with always feeling like I need to be the strong one, and especially for those who are still working, feeling like they have to be strong for the children in their care.
So I too was a member of that club, and I too always felt that I had to be in charge and I had to take care of everybody. In fact, my mother's goal for me was to become a nun. So even though that never materialized, I was the go-to person in my family. And even growing up, call Cea, she'll fix it. I was the fixer. I was the Ray Donovan, Liev Schreiber. He was the fixer. I am still the fixer. And I had a physician tell me once that the reason I probably got MS is because I had to numb out in order to take care of myself, because I would have never allowed myself to take the time. So when I physically was numb and stuttering and could barely walk, I had no other choice. So I think it's a myth that we have to be super people with superpowers. You know what's interesting? The day that my mom died, the next day in the Columbus Dispatch, I didn't see on the front page, Elsie Catherine Susi Bonaventura Hayden, a wonderful mother, died yesterday, and it wasn't on the second page and it wasn't on the third page. It was way back in the obituaries. And what I had to learn from my mother was, if I didn't take care of me, nobody else would or could. It's not your husband's job. It's not your partner's job. It's not your wife's job. It's not your children's job. It's not your daycare center's job. So when I got my Montessori training, we had a psychologist from the University of Arizona who took up 3 hours of our training every morning. And she said, unless you know yourself, you can't be present for a child, because children can see through everything that we do. We have to be present. So if I need to give anybody permission, I give you permission to go to your spa tomorrow in your bathtub or your shower or your foot bath. Because when you're sick, you can't take care of anybody else. When you're sick, life goes on without us. And there were too many times before I got it, until I was having body parts removed when I used to have MS, that who's going to take care of my kids? And so it is really important for me to take time out. I want to teach everybody a new word who asked that question, Kimberly. I'm going to teach you a new word, guys. You ready? Here we go. No. No. It's hard to say no. It's okay to say no. You want to be in that committee? No. Can you do this? No. I'm actually saying now to my kids, this is what I want for Mother's Day. This is what I want for my birthday. Because I used to spend those, if they loved me, they would have read my mind. No, it's okay. It's okay to say no, and it's okay to say, I need to take a nap. I wasn't allowed to take naps when I was growing up. My family said, what do you mean you have a migraine? You can bake 10 loaves of bread just as easy with a migraine as you can, doing anything else. No, we do not take naps here. I had to teach myself how to take a nap.
No.
So if that helps, when you're sick, you can't take care of anybody else. You have to be present, physically and emotionally.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. We have a couple people that want to know, the name of the book that you quoted from with the Native American quote.
Oh, Dr. Stephen Farmer. Dr. Stephen Farmer,
Okay.
Let's see, Animal Spirits. Animal Spirits.
Okay.
So Dr. Stephen Farmer is amazing. Amazing.
They also want to know, if you have a book, and if you don't, if you've considered writing one.
No, I don't have a book. Actually, I had a publishing company call me last week trying to get me to sign up. And when I told her I wanted to sell my books at my workshops, and I said, how much money would I make? And she said, $2.
Yeah.
So I'm going to try to self-publish. And this is where I have to get over, when I talk about doing my book, I immediately have the picture of the Barnes & Noble bargain table.
Yeah. Yes.
My book. And
Yes.
so my neighbor next door has published a book. And so she said, next week she and I are Zooming. Is that the right word? We're Zooming. And we're going to work on my book, self-publish. But thank you. Thank you for asking that.
Okay. Do you have a little more time you would?
I do.
Okay.
Absolutely.
One person said she has a child that ever since all of this has been happening is just really angry, and she's tried different techniques that she knows, and he's just really angry. And so I have advice for her, advice for him.
Do we know how old her child is?
Unfortunately not. I'm going to assume most of our people on this call are preschool age.
Okay.
So let's go with that.
As a Montessori teacher and as a guidance counselor, I would do a number of things. So my magic wand, I should have had it right here. For those of you who've seen me before, I have a magic wand. In the classroom, I would sit in a circle and everybody would have the talking stick or a rain stick or something, and they had the ability to hold it and talk about how they were feeling. So that's one thing that I tried. With my own children, they loved M&Ms. So I would have M&Ms, and we'd have drawing paper and markers, and we would have M&Ms on the table and raisins, and we would talk. And I'd say, so, hey, can you draw? Can you draw what you're feeling today? And even though they'd say, no, Mom, that's so annoying, they'd start drawing. Mm-hmm. And then they'd be eating and we'd be talking. So drawing is a wonderful thing. It's so important to say, how you doing? how are you doing? Because I had one son who said, that really annoys me when you ask me that. So he was my drawing person. My other son could emote more. Now, if they're preschool children, you know, I would say happy, sad, you know, that feeling chart that we can all get online with the happy, sad faces. Play therapy, just playing with them. Hey, so that's red. What do you think about that red? And then they start to talk. And then one of the things I love doing with my boys at bath time, it was story time, but with them. Okay, so Kimberly, once upon a time, there was a little girl by the name of Kimberly, and today, and then you would fill in the blanks. And then you would say da 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 da, and I'd say, oh, and so when that wonderful Kimberly did that, she said, fill in the blanks. So allow them, or you can record them and allow them to write a story verbally and make believe. So if you could be another little boy or girl, who would you be and why? And then have them start to talk. I think we need to reassure them. You're safe. Try not to cry in front of them. Try not to say things like, I don't know what I'm going to do. If I can't work, how are we going to eat? Please don't say those things because they can't understand that.
Right.
So I think all of those techniques, verbal, storytelling, drawing, and every day saying, you are so loved and we are okay. You are so loved and we are okay.
Well, that's good advice for adults and children. The next one is, it's big. It's a really big question. And I'm not going to put you on the spot, answer what you can, but she's had a daughter who struggled with depression even before the pandemic, and her daughter has attempted to take her life, and she as a mom is just really struggling with what she can do, what any next step is, period.
So I worked for suicide prevention to this wonderful, sweet mom who's worried. And I was adolescent coordinator for suicide prevention in 3 counties.
Wow.
And what I learned was, especially with my kids who attempted, I would say to them every single time I'd meet with them, what do you need to make you feel safe? What are you afraid of? How can we work on this? And I think we all were taught that you never ask a child or an adolescent or an adult, have you thought about killing yourself? Because we were afraid of the answer. So I was always very overt and say, what are your plans? And if they had a specific plan, Kimberly, I immediately contacted their physician, their therapist, and hooked them up. If this wonderful mom, and God bless you, Mom, is still concerned about her, I want you to, there's 2 options I want to give you. Go to Dr. Daniel Amen, A-M-E-N, to his site, Dr. Daniel Amen. And they have wonderful psychologists and psychiatrists on their sites, and you can go and talk to them. Dr. Amen said many years ago when I attended his workshop that he loves seeing people on SAMI, St. John's wort, and Holy Basil, but this mom needs to run that by her therapist first, because we all know that psychotropic drugs oftentimes can have horrible side effects. So I would make sure that if she does have a plan, that she's in direct contact with her therapist or her physician. I would encourage her to go to Dr. Daniel Amen's site and to always check in with her and say, what do you need from me today? And to always say to her, if you can't talk to me, who is your go-to person?
It's really good advice. And wow, I didn't know you had that background and that experience. So I'm really glad she was vulnerable enough to share that with us. I have someone who kind of wants a clarification to our conversation about having to be the strong one, especially in front of children. And what she wants to make sure what we're saying there is she understands not falling apart in front of children, but are we saying never to cry in front of children or never to show your emotions, because doesn't that model resilience? So she just wanted to clarify what we were saying.
No, I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying we don't make it their problem. I'm crying because I don't know how I'm going to feed you. No. I'm crying because I'm concerned, but I know we're going to make this. I'm crying because I'm feeling unsure of things, but I want you to know you're okay. No, I totally believe. I cried in front of my kids, and we would cry together. But what I'm trying to say, so if I'm not making it clear, I apologize. Don't make it their problem. Well, mommy, how are we going to have money for food? Well, I don't know, because then they're going to worry about that. I'm concerned about some things. I know it's going to be okay, but I just need to cry with you right now because I'm feeling sad.
Yeah, that's good advice. One more, and then I'm going to wrap up with a comment. Someone has an autoimmune disease, and she's having a really hard time just being so fearful of leaving her house, even to enjoy nature or anything else. It's just the fear is kind of overwhelming her.
So we know scientifically, and please don't take my word for this, look it up. We know that nature outside, I'm talking about outside, I'm not talking about crowded parks. Going outside refreshes us, it replenishes us, it changes our limbic system, it changes our nervous system. And so if she's that concerned, put on a mask and go out in your backyard, but sit. We know that's going to help. When I used to have MS, and I'm going to say used to because I no longer have it, I too was worried about what if with that. And so please tell her to go to Dr. Whitaker, WHITAKER.com, drwhitaker.com. Dr. Whitaker is in California. He is an MD, and he has wonderful pieces of information about autoimmune diseases and what we can do by grounding and earthing, and Dr. Stephen Sinatra also, and that is Dr. lowercase letters Sinatra.com. They're both physicians, and Dr. Sinatra is also a therapist, and so please have her go to those sites.
Okay. I really am going to wrap up soon, but somebody would like you to, two things. Can you say, is it Dr. Amen again? They didn't get the name.
Like amen.
Like amen.
Like amen. Amen. Yeah.
And then someone wondered if you would just briefly do the finger exercise again.
Oh, sure. Okay, so this is the climbing exercise, the climbing fingers. Are you ready? So right hand, I guess that's better. So you take, it doesn't matter which fingers, you go to your pinky and you go inhale up, climbing down, exhale. And you set that up so you can breathe. So inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. So the finger is the climber, okay? The finger is the climber. Inhale, exhale, inhale. You set it up so the person doing it or the kids doing it can actually inhale. If somebody wants to pray as they do it, thank you, God, I trust you. Or in with love, out with stress. As you breathe in and out, and you breathe through your nose and out through your mouth. I hope that helps.
That is. And this is great. We will share additional comments with you because people just shared how this really hit them where it needed to this evening. So thank you. They loved your humor. And I'm going to end with a little bit of humor that they give back to you when you were discussing your chin hairs. Everybody really loved that, but I really loved this person's comment. She said, her grandma said that was wisdom growing in.
Oh, I love it.
So there's our gift to you.
I love it. Maybe I should leave the wisdom in my chin for a longer time.
Maybe so. Maybe so. So this is, if you have any parting words, we thank you so much.
I want to tell you all thank you. And I want to tell you, Kimberly and Chris and Pam, thank you for contacting me. It's been my gift. And I sat here and it brought tears to my eyes to think that I could honor my mother by doing these things and to maybe help one person or two people that took the time out tonight. So thank you all. It was a wonderful birthday celebration to my mama.
I'm sure she's very proud. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks so much.
Appreciate it.
All right. Thank you.